McIntyre. His grandfather's name was a Chippewayan word meaning he who hunts the bear. He is a treaty Indian, born on the reserve at Dipper Lake in northern Saskatchewan. The devout explorer David Thompson passed this way in 1798 and wrote in his journal, "The Supreme Being has given this country to the deer and to the red man forever. Here, as his fathers for centuries past have done, he may roam free as the wind." Lloyd McIntyre can give up his treaty rights and leave the reserve any time he wishes. But he chooses to live and work here where he was born, and to live more or less as his ancestors have for centuries. The pattern of life is as old as time. The men hunt, then the women take over. They live off the land. Almost everything they need is right on their doorstep. The only thing they bought at a store was the rope. You don't even use a knife for preparing the hides. The shin bone of a moose is a better instrument. It doesn't tear the skin. The tamarack gives you logs for the smokehouse, and balsam boughs, the sweet smoke that cures the moose meat. There is a cliché idea that Indians take no thought for the morrow. Of course, they don't think in terms of saving up money for their old age, but they make very sure of food supplies for the hard times of the winter ahead. The land gives you what you need to live, or you die. That was the old Indian pattern. What did they basically need to survive? Meat, fish, berries, skins for clothing, skins to make the teepees. When the meat was cured, it was always pounded into pemmican. Usually they mixed in Saskatoon berries for sweetness. A few bags of pemmican and the hunter could carry enough food for a month. That was the old way of life. On the reserve, the old way is changing. It's no longer the vanishing Indian. There are twice as many Indians now in northern Saskatchewan as there were 20 years ago. Twice as many mouths to feed. Moise's father usually takes his grandchildren along when it's a good day. saved up some money trapping years ago to buy an outboard. And Dipper Lake is good for pickerel, whitefish. The catch is good enough to vary the diet of the villagers. There are only 60 mouths to feed, not counting the dogs. The dogs have to be kept healthy and nourished. Winter is coming. People on the reserve are generous by custom. You don't say, I caught this. This is mine. Everybody gets a share. At Dipper Lake now, there are new ways of doing things, though it is still based on the old Indian way. As a band of hunters in the old days, they worked together. Now they've organized a fishermen's cooperative. By pooling their resources, and with some outside help, they have adopted modern methods. Fishing at Dipper Lake has become a commercial enterprise. The fish will make dinners in Saskatoon, Winnipeg, Calgary. On many reserves in Canada, the economic resources are so slim that a decent standard of living is impossible. Hopeless. People are urged to move away from the reserves and get jobs and assimilate. But at Dipper Lake, they manage fairly well. Moise says, why should I go away? These are my people. This is where I was born. This is where I shall die. Father Morrow, who was stationed here for 40 years, was too ill on this Sunday to conduct the service, but they went ahead anyway. All the young fellows have, in their time, left the reserve to go to residential school, but they've always come back here